Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending our webinar, Maximize Your Network Security. I am your host, Mindy Stubbs, Demand Generation Coordinator here at Optive. I would like to take a quick moment to introduce our speakers, Charlie Kohler and Tony Tanzi. Charlie Kohler brings more than 15 years of experience to his current role. As an Aruba enterprise architect, Kohler is responsible for working with the sales teams across the country to design and scope projects of all sizes and technologies. Charlie extends his assistance throughout the company to assist other teams in his area of expertise as needed. He also works very closely with different teams from the delivery side of the company to plan overall solutions that can be used across the company. Anthony Tanzi has more than 20 years of experience in the networking and network security space. As a partner architect focused on Palo Alto networks, Tanzi is responsible for Optive's pre-sales enablement and support to accelerate growth between Palo Alto networks and Optive in existing and new markets across the U.S. and Canada. He is also focused on supporting Optive's post-sales implementation team and working with marketing on Palo Alto specific campaigns. We are very excited to have them both with us today. And with that, I will turn it over to our speakers.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for your time today. This is Tony Tanzi. Wanted to give you a little bit of background about Optive Security and who we are. So Optive Security is the world's leading security solutions integrator with years of experience supporting thousands of enterprise-level clients. We know the solutions landscape better than anyone. We understand the challenges our clients face every day because many of our people have occupied a seat on the other side of the table. Our unique team of former CISOs, security technologists, and operations experts leverage, and I've experienced that and solved that perspective to deliver solutions that help our clients maximize and communicate the effectiveness of their cybersecurity program. We are a proven and growing company. We are extremely security specialized with global execution. We provide services for various initiatives, can be your single source of technology, and have a trusted level of expertise.
Hi, everyone. This is Charlie Kohler, and I will be working with Tony Tanzi through the rest of this presentation to discuss integrations with both Aruba Networks and Palo Alto Networks. Aruba Networks is a leading enterprise provider for next-generation network solutions. This includes wired, wireless, and security technologies that help work with many other technologies within your environment. Tony, if you want to describe Palo Alto a little bit, that would be great.
Sure, thanks, Charlie. Palo Alto Networks' mission is to protect our way of life in the digital age by preventing successful cybersecurity attacks. This has given Palo Alto Networks the privilege of safely enabling tens of thousands of organizations and their customers. Their pioneering security operating platform embodies the digital transformation with continuous innovation that seizes the latest breakthroughs in security, automation, and analytics. By delivering a true unified platform and empowering a growing ecosystem of change makers like us, they provide highly effective and innovative cybersecurity across clouds, networks, and mobile devices.
Today we are going to be talking about the security challenges in today's mobile enterprise. We're first going to start off with having Tony talk about addressing security in the borderless enterprise.
Thanks, Charlie. So securing the enterprise locations becomes very hard to work with. With Palo Alto Networks, though, it becomes easier with the next generation firewall platform. Being able to provide consistent security policies for effective protection against modern threat vectors, advanced persistent threats, and zero-day exploits can be extended from the corporate headquarters to all of your branch locations and managed through the Panorama Management tool, having that single pane of glass. However, mobility introduces a host of new challenges. Users are no longer bound to the desk, and the security and network teams are often faced with the challenge of trying to extend that same level of security on the devices and users as they move across the enterprise, and from the enterprise to their branch and home offices. Users want seamless access and coverage and demand the same connectivity and access experience irrespective from where they connect in the network.
As Tony was just alluding to, adding mobility into the enterprise is really breaking the traditional security models that we've always been able to use. We can't just put a firewall at our edge of our network anymore and think that our enterprise network is secure. What the slide is saying here, the traditional architecture places security at the perimeter alone just doesn't get us to where we need to be anymore. We have personal devices that connect to internet. We have personal devices that go home. We have corporate devices that are allowed to connect to cloud applications that are able to go around the firewall and many other different ways. So we really need to take a look at how we're able to secure devices and users much closer to the device. So we need to take a look at who you are, what device you're on, and be able to control the access that you get based on those different pieces. We would trust the local network, but block external networks. Today, we have to trust nothing. We must verify the user, device, and content before allowing access. Not only do we do that, we're then able to then protect what data they have access to. So that access section below, where we used to protect only at the perimeter, we must now protect at the access layer and the perimeter. So that's being able to control east-west traffic as well as north and south traffic. Looking at the security policy, we used to only block ports. So we would say 80 and 443 were allowed, but we weren't able to get into what we need to do now, where we need to say we need to enable or deny certain applications. So what we're able to do that with is integrations with things like Palo Alto that are able to do layer 7 inspection, giving us that extra visibility beyond typical port mappings. We also need to look at threat prevention, where in the past we would look at stop at known threats. Now, with everything, there are so many 0 days that we need to be able to stop known and unknown threats. So throughout the conversation today, we'll talk about different ways to do so. We also need to be able to look at device policies, which we weren't able to do in the past. Before, we didn't pay attention to the device, but only the user. Now we're looking at both the device and the user to be able to grant the full access that a person needs. So talking about the integration between Aruba and Palo Alto, we're going to start with when you add ClearPath or Aruba infrastructure to a network, you get a rich new context about the user, the device, and the posture of those two devices. So we're going to be able to go in and take a look at how to protect the air, authenticate devices and users, self-service workflows, being able to onboard yourself and be able to manage your profile for yourself, policy generation and orchestration. So being able to take information about who you are, what device you're on, and how you're connecting to be able to give you true segmentation of your environment. We're then going to be able to use RESTful APIs up to Palo Alto and be able to secure the perimeter. So the information that we gain about you looking at your authentication and your device information from the network, we'll pass that up to Palo Alto, where Palo Alto will be able to use that information to make decisions about what firewall policies to apply to you.
So Charlie has mentioned, if we think about it this way, information is power, right? Everybody has heard that saying. So what we're going to talk about going forward is the different integrations between Aruba networks and Palo Alto networks, and they come in multiple flavors. So we'll look at each one of those in depth. So the first one we'll talk about is being able to use Aruba ClearPath Secure NAC to provides total visibility of the connected and connected users as well as devices in the wired and wireless multi-vendor environment. So ClearPath today delivers user identity to user ID technology and device information to the host information profiling, which enables Palo Alto Networks' next-generation firewalls to enforce real-time rules based on user, device, and application at every point of control. Conversely, when the next-generation firewall generates an alert, it can also be sent to ClearPath to trigger a range of predetermined policy-based actions, from quarantining to blocking. And user ID is one of the forefront features that has always been there for Palo Alto Networks. So having this type of integration gives us the ability to gather user ID information directly from Aruba. So if we look at this slide, we see two different scenarios. One, using ClearPath in the next generation firewall, and the other one is using a controller, but also still being able to send that user ID information to the Palo Alto Networks firewall. So that when a user authenticates on the wired or wireless network to either ClearPath or an Aruba controller, that user ID information and the device type that is fingerprinted can be forwarded to the Palo Alto Networks firewall via that API. Now the Palo Alto firewall knows about that user, knows about his device type. So the power that this gives you is you have the ability to do things like maybe allowing someone to access a certain SharePoint site or a certain website from their corporate device, but maybe if they bring in their iPad from home, their own personal iPad, maybe they're not allowed to access that same website or that same content. So we can get that granular now that we know the user and their device.
Tony, really quick into that, one benefit that I have seen with the ClearPath integration with user ID for Palo Alto is the actual start and stop radius commands that go up to ClearPath and actually adding and removing the session instantaneously from Palo Alto, where previously the user ID agent was relied on Active Directory, and I have seen stale data come in from that. Have you seen that to be a benefit to our customers?
Absolutely. The more ways you can get user ID information, the better for Palo Alto Firewall. There are numbers of ways to get that. LDAP is one. The firewall can actually parse syslog as another mechanism. But getting that source of truth from something like a ClearPath or an Aruba controller gives you a very high level of confidence that that user information is current and it's changing as it's needed.
Perfect. Thanks, Tony. I'm going to add a little insight into Aruba Introspect as well as we go through this conversation. Introspect is able to collect information from Palo Alto next generation firewalls as well as many other sources in the environment to also help with this proliferation of personal devices and mobile first type connectivity that we are looking at today in the enterprise. We're able to take information from SIMs, firewalls, the network, ClearPath, feed that into Introspect, and be able to do machine learning to be able to go in and create a risk score. We're able to take that risk score and forward that information back into ClearPath and Palo Alto to say, now that we've seen that you've connected and we know who you are and what device you're on and what you're trying to access, we know that your overall risk to the company based on the way you're acting compared to yourself over time, as well as how you are acting in regards to your peers over time as well. So we can take that information, take that risk score, and add that as another piece of context into our decision-making process of what access you should be given. So coming back directly to our ClearPath and Palo Alto integrations that we were talking about, one of the newest features that was added with ClearPath and Palo Alto is the Ingress event engine. This became available in 6.6, so within the last 6 months to a year this has become available. ClearPath is able to leverage syslog information from the Palo Alto firewall. With that information coming into the firewall, or from the firewall to ClearPath, we are able to parse those logs and look for triggers within the headers of the information being sent to us. With that, when we see a threat come in, we are able to trigger an enforcement profile that will place a user in a quarantine state or remove them from the network completely. We are also able to redirect them to a captive portal page explaining why they have been removed from the network. ClearPath can also open a ServiceNow help desk ticket and send an email alert to the security response team with the necessary information regarding the client and the threat. So this is a huge benefit that takes the detection time of a breach from, I believe, 90 plus days is what we see quite often, to almost instant. We're able to see the differences in an environment and be able to react and remediate those users very quickly now. So Tony, let's talk about this slide a little bit. If you want to take the first couple, I'll jump in thereafter.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Charlie. So user ID is just one of the very powerful features available on the Palo Alto Network's next generation firewall. Providing that integration with Aruba provides the Palo Alto Network's firewall with mobile user information and device type that can be utilized in policy or just for visibility only. You may want to start off by just seeing where people are going and what they're doing with their mobile devices, and then enforcing policy at a later time. Adding the integration with the Aruba Ingress event engine also, as Charlie has mentioned, allows Aruba infrastructure to take action based on a security event identified by the Palo Alto firewall. So we look at this blended threat prevention, we get the advantage of things like wildfire, IPS, URL filtering, anti-malware, DNS monitoring, and sinkholing, and being able to do things like file blocking to block things like phishing and rogue APs.
So with this integration, it really plays into the whole gen mobile readiness. We know very few people have desktops that are always owned by the company. Most people are laptops, iPads, and tablets and mobile devices today. This really gives us the advantage to be able to take context from all around the environment, bring it into one tool, Aruba ClearPath, and then be able to disseminate that information out to tools like Palo Alto, proxies, other different tools in the environment, and be able to gain high-scale reliability of the information and true security of the environment, taking security all the way out to the access layer, not relying on security at the edge. So with this, we're also able to get granular policy definition, and with that granular policy definition, we're able to orchestrate network-wide policies through ClearPath, like I was mentioning a little earlier. So with ClearPath into the environment and it collecting data from all the different sources, we have unprecedented visibility at the access layer all the way up to the perimeter. And the integration between Palo Alto and ClearPath really gives us that strength and confidence to know what is on our network and what they should be able to do. So customer benefits that we will see through this integration is improved visibility and security, like I was just mentioning. We're able to identify all devices connecting to the network, including headless devices such as IoT devices. We also will have NAC and access control policies designed for mobility. So to what Tony was talking about a little bit earlier, if a person is on a corporate laptop versus a personal device, we can differentiate their access. This is a huge step forward in being able to do custom segmentation for our users and be able to segment access to our corporate assets, either if they are on-site or off-site in a cloud environment. Tony, if you would like to talk about the next couple sections, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. So what we also get from the Palo Alto firewalls is this very granular context-aware policy. So being able to address any kind of emerging trends of BYOD, cloud, SDN, PFV, or even guest access, we can get very granular now that we have information from Aruba regarding who that user is and what device they're on. And what that allows us to do is improve performance. It allows us to optimize the application performance over both the wired and the wireless network. One of the things you can also do on a Palo Alto firewall are things like quality of service. So even if we know, now that we know who the user is and what their device that they're using, we can even provide some controls on what people can do on their personal device versus what they're allowed to do on their corporate device. So the goal here is really to try to deliver a better end-user experience and have that experience be uniform no matter where they're located, whether they're on the wired or the wireless network, using their corporate device or using a mobile device.
Mindy, we'll hand it back to you. I'd like to close us out.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both Tony and Charlie, and thank you all for participating. This concludes today's webinar. We hope you found this presentation enjoyable. A follow-up email will be sent to you shortly, which will include a link to view this on-demand webinar again. If you do have any questions or feedback, you can reach out to a CSA or email us at campaigns@optive.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.